Welcome again to another episode of the BBCE podcast. I am Phil Endris alongside Steve Hart, and today we are talking about eBay, and more specifically, eBay Live. Now, for most of you that are in the card industry, you have done business on the eBay website. I remember in 1998 bidding on auctions. I think that was the first time I ever bid. And over the course of the last 20, 30 years, eBay has become such a stalwart, if you will, in the sports memorabilia market. And really, it was the premier website where you could sell your sports cards, collectibles, etc. Still probably is. But with that, there has been a lot of changes, a lot of reforming, a lot of additional avenues by which eBay sells their products. And over the course of the past couple of years, eBay introduced something called eBay Live. Now, for us old heads like me and Steve, we didn't really understand this, but these are auctions that are actually done live.
Yes, exactly.
And we threw our hat in this arena.
Yep.
So Steve, tell us about it.
There's an interesting phenomenon going on in that, like you said, back in the 90s, for decades, we used eBay. Everybody used eBay as an avenue. It's one of the largest auction selling platforms in the world. Mm-hmm. And obviously we have buy it now. So you could buy something right away and the transaction's done. The auction process, people still love it.
Mm-hmm.
However, it takes 3, 7, 10 days.
Yeah.
And now with eBay Live, it's 20 seconds.
Yeah.
20-second auctions at one after another, after another, after another. And people enjoy that.
Yes.
You know, the action right there. You can buy a bunch of things really quick. Instead of waiting 7 days out for an auction.
Yeah.
Here it is, 20 seconds.
All right. So we got to.
It seems like that's what people want. It's instant.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's go back. I mean,
Okay.
and I don't think you did a ton of buying on eBay, but you've done a lot of selling.
Yes.
Right? So I did a ton of buying on eBay. And I had to, you had to look at the auction and you had to look at the terms. Remember 1998, 1999, early 2000, you had to look at the terms and everybody could have different terms.
Right.
So this person says no personal checks.
Mm-hmm.
This
used to be able to send checks.
This person says no PayPal, only money orders.
Yep.
No cashier's check, only money orders.
Yep.
So,
no returns.
No returns.
Final sale as is.
So when I would win an auction, I'd have to print out the invoice, and then I'd have to go to. Some would only want United States Postal money orders. Others cashiers. Others said nope. Some people even said only cash through the mail.
In person, especially for a large, heavy item. You have to come get it.
So, over the course of time, obviously eBay has certainly made that much more expedient and efficient.
Yep. With all the electronic payment platforms, it's very simple now.
Right.
Yep.
And so now we've moved to this eBay Live fee where everything is done in a matter of how many seconds?
Our auctions are 20 seconds. The clock will reset 5 seconds if there's a bid in the last so many seconds. But, on average, I would say a 20-second auction may take 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the other day I'm working at my desk and you're actually doing a show at your desk, which is right by my desk.
Right.
And walk me through that. That dynamic was really cool for me to witness. You're selling some vintage cards, and you were doing it yourself. And I mean, you got a great personality, and you were really describing these cards in depth.
Yeah, oh yeah. I think the first 5 shows we've done, I've done them.
Yeah.
I just want to get the ball rolling. Eventually we'll pass it on to employees, but I'll still do them occasionally. I actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
Basically, you quickly whip out some item, describe the condition, show it on camera, and hit start.
Yes.
And then 20-second clock starts, and somebody ends up winning it.
Yeah, and we're going to put some. They can go back and check these out, right?
Yeah, there's replays.
Yeah,
yep,
so we're going to put the links to the replays in here because you've really got to hear Steve describe some of these cards. I mean, I'm sitting at the desk and he pulls out one card. He goes, "Now this card's pretty ugly."
Yes, it's well loved. It was well loved.
Well loved, as he was saying it. But okay, all right. So 20 seconds. you introduce the card, and whoever's in your room bids.
Yes.
Okay. And then when it is bid, then a clock resets a bit?
I'm not exactly sure on the exact parameters, but the clock ticks down.
Okay.
And then when there's a bid made near the end, it adds 5 more seconds or 10 more seconds, I believe you can pick.
Okay.
To the bidding. You could also do sudden death.
Right.
Where there is no clock reset, in which case you would need to probably put in a ceiling bid like we do when we're bidding on 7-day eBay auctions. So,
So why do this? I mean, it's not like you're busy or anything, right?
Exactly. Yep.
But why do it? Why go into another avenue of retail and selling?
As you can imagine, we probably have dozens and dozens and dozens of pallets around here with material we never get to.
Right.
It's not the best material. I mean, we've been selling nice items. We're trying to get a following and get this going. But we have so much material that basically just collects dust.
Yeah.
And, I've been watching other platforms that do these auctions and, cards that I just put to the side and consider zero value. I keep seeing them sell $3, $4, $5, $6, $10.
Right.
And it's a good way to move things that we've in the past considered don't have time for, never get to, don't put much value into it.
Yeah.
So it's just another avenue of selling things.
And when you say, and I think, I know what you mean when you say zero value, but maybe the audience doesn't.
Zero value to there's a bunch of it. We don't have time to get to it. We just don't really value it at this point for much.
Correct. And
but there's stuff in there that people want.
And meaning also too, I think that it's on that borderline, if you will, between grading and getting the grade desired to make it worth grading, and grading and just breaking even.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So an example I saw the other day, you had what was an 81 Fleer, 81
Donruss,
Ricky Henderson.
Ricky Henderson. Yep.
Yep. And I looked at the card and I go, man, that's nice, Steve. And you go, yeah, I think it's probably a 9.
Yeah.
Or, I'm like, well, what does a 9 go for? And I think the 9 went for more than what it sold for on eBay Live.
Okay.
But
not by a whole lot.
But not by a whole lot. And the 8 went for less. So, we think it's a 9, but if it comes back an 8, we actually break even.
Yeah.
Or that card is 0, right?
Yes. Yep.
So say if it's $25 and an 8, and we just spent $20
to grade it. Yep.
Then there's the 0 value. Whereas if we were really selling nice cards, 80, what we think could be 8s and 9s, we describe that obviously in the description, and we can keep those savings between buyer and seller.
The customer also
doesn't
have to put that kind of money into it to have a nice example.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. So
and I've noticed a lot of we did a show a couple days ago with unopened packs. And I wasn't sure how the show would go. We sell unopened packs all the time, and it was great. And I think it was a lot of strictly collectors, because we were selling a lot of those $3 to $10 non-sport packs, which you would never pay the authentication fee really to have it authenticated, and just pure collectors. Right. You're probably not even going to open it much because of the value of the cards inside, and then grading or whatever. But yeah, a lot of collector-based people on these live auctions.
Yeah, and I would say also, the platforms that people purchase on are sometimes different customer bases. So, for example, what we've noticed here at Baseball Card Exchange, or at least I've noticed, you can agree, disagree with me. Say, for instance, we get a non-sport box in that's newer, or it could be a modern. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
I have a couple. I've said this before in other shows. I'm a pickleball player, so I bought some 2023 Leaf Premier pickleball cases.
Okay.
I think I have 3 cases or something like that. Bought them for pretty cheap when they came out. If we put those, they're not cheap anymore. If we put those on the BBCE.com website, our store website, they might sit there for a long time.
Correct. Yep.
But if we put them on the eBay web store, on our eBay web store or eBay presence, then we're going to get a totally different customer base.
Yes.
Looking at our products, and they've been selling for $350 a piece. So with that said, we've done great business with eBay over the past how many years?
Since '98. So yeah,
since '98. So I think it's not only your desire to expand the customer base, which I think that's the overall objective, but also eBay and Baseball Card Exchange have been great partners for the past 20.
In fact, the whole eBay Live, eBay came to me.
Okay.
To have them join because it's still in the beta phase. The audience is nowhere near as large as Whatnot or whatever other platforms. However, I have faith that since eBay is the largest platform, auction and buy it now, one of them in the world, it will eventually become, the best-selling live avenue also.
Right.
Still in the top of the first.
Correct.
For eBay Live, but I have full
confidence.
Full faith and confidence that it will become the largest live selling place.
So we have tons of product to sell, and sometimes the challenge of being a retailer in any
industry
is where can I sell all of these different products. And so it's our goal here at Baseball Card Exchange to build our eBay store and eBay Live store to very high labels. So this partnership is not just a partnership to see how it goes. We're committed to seeing this
and
thing.
I've seen other sellers on eBay breaking.
Oh, yeah.
So, that's something we could probably get into also.
Right.
Especially with vintage stuff. 80s, 90s, we'll break that kind of stuff. But like you said about, every industry. I see women on there selling handbags.
Right.
Clothing.
Yeah.
So, like I said, there's businesses that have stuff that may not have a great home. Now they have homes in 20-second auctions.
Right.
So, a lot of fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed listening to, and I only hear your side because I guess people communicate to you, with text.
Yep.
But I hear your side, and I hear you're answering the questions and so on and so forth.
Trying to keep up with what I'm doing and then reading the scroll.
Yeah. It was very entertaining to sit at my desk and hear everything that's going on. And seeing, there was maybe a couple things that were like, that kind of went cheap. And then there was a couple things where I was like, I can't believe it got that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very cool. And again, very cool to hear you describe the condition of the cards. It was brutal, honest.
Oh, yeah. No, we're not going to sugarcoat when there's a problem.
Brutal, honest, borderline comical, humoristic descriptions of these cards.
And again, the way I've always run the business is we had a singles show with Rookie Hall of Famers.
Right.
And as we were packing, again, my team's also going to ship it the next day.
Yes.
There's no lag.
Right.
One of my guys was shipping a Ricky Henderson rookie and saw a crease on the back only that I didn't catch when I described it.
Yeah.
I immediately contacted the winner of the auction, and I said, hey, I'm going to refund you for this Henderson rookie because we found a crease in it.
Oh.
And I'm going to let you keep it.
Okay.
He's like, really? It's like, I just figured you'd give me my money back. No, you can have the card too. Our mistake, we missed it, so we're going to make up for it. Plus.
Yeah. Again, integrity and honesty is prime to us. And, the business has been good to Baseball Card Exchange. And because of that, it should be even easier for businesses where they've been blessed and have had success to be honest and integrity. And every now and again, that means we're going to make a mistake and we're going to have to absorb that.
Of course.
But we understand that the blessing of the business is affixed to the honesty and integrity.
I've even made verbal mistakes.
Yeah.
Maybe offered somebody something that I made a mistake on. I misrepresented what he had by the year, and I stick to my word.
Absolutely.
So there's been times I've, taken a loss. But, whatever I say to somebody about something I've made a mistake on, we try to take care of it.
Yep, absolutely. So we stand behind that. It was super fun to hear that.
And obviously
episode.
Within reason. Sometimes people are offering us something in general,
right?
And I'm giving them in general prices. So that's a different story.
Yeah, and one last thing too, and maybe you can speak to this further, but this is my assumption. If it's an assumption, please feel free to correct. A lot of times we'll buy VG vintage cards. It'll come in a deal. We're not that excited to do it. The reason why I think we're not excited to do it is because, well, sometimes it's more hassle than it's worth for us to sell a VG card on, say, like an eBay. Because
right, yep.
of returns or whatever, we don't want that.
Yep. I mean, we have so much inventory of VG, B and C Hall of Famers.
Right.
Aparicio, Santo, Billy Williams. I'm bringing up Cubs.
Yes.
Fergie Jenkins, another Cub.
We're Cub fans too, by the way.
Marischal, Gaylord Perry, guys like that.
Yeah.
And it's just tough to do much with.
Right.
We send them down to the retail store, but again, there's the C-list Hall of Famers.
Mm-hmm.
But I've noticed on eBay Live that doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
People want players of that they collect.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the cheaper and the lower grade, the more interested because of the better price point.
Yeah, and not only that, but a lot of times on eBay you get, and this isn't an eBay problem, this is a seller problem. They give very vague descriptions.
Correct.
And so when you're buying a VG card, it's actually like you're going to a show, and you're asking the dealer, like, hey, can I see that VG card? What do you think about this? And the dealer is like being brutally honest. That doesn't even happen at a show much. They're just like, you say,
you look at it.
Yeah, you look at it. You
figure
determine.
it out.
But now here we have Steve Hart, who is, and our other guys that are going to be doing this too will be the same.
Yep, the best they can do.
They're gonna say, I don't see anything wrong. I do see something wrong here. So they're actually going to point out all of the deficiencies of the card to you. What better way to buy VG?
Yep. I remember in the old days, I'd go to a card show, and I was younger, kind of naive, and I would ask a guy, well, what condition is it? It's $15. Basically meaning you look at it, you figure it out. It's right. $15. Mm-hmm. So,
yep.
And another thing I've noticed on eBay Live, and this is probably because it's still in the beta phase and it's growing. We have actually had better results with those C-list Hall of Famers compared to Mantle and Williams and Koufax and Aaron, which to me is kind of a surprise. But maybe it's the price point. Maybe we are getting the collectors who can't afford those big name Hall of Famers. But if they collect Giants or somebody, McCovey, Marischal, it seems like we're getting better percentages on those cards than the big ones right now. I'm sure that'll catch up as things grow. But I'm surprised with the the collector base of lesser named players.
Yeah, absolutely. VG cards are cool. They are. Having a 55 Koufax rookie in VG, that's cool. I mean,
if you want to afford an 8, you better have a decent payroll.
Right.
If you want to afford a 9, you better be very wealthy.
Right.
So
exactly. It's not for everyone. And if you have the love for baseball cards and just holding it in your hand and looking at it, one of my older friends, every time he'd buy a graded card, he'd crack it out because he didn't like the looks of a graded card. He'd put it into a 9.
Billy, who runs the whole retail operation, his goal was to have every baseball rookie Hall of Famer post-war.
Right.
And he can't afford that.
No.
So he buys them all in ones.
Yeah.
And he loves it. He has a 51 Bowman Mantle one. Mm-hmm. I think one of the most difficult cards was a 48 Leaf Newhouser in a one.
Oh, wow.
That's a tough short print.
Right.
But, he buys them in one. Now, he likes to get them within reasonably eye-appealing ones.
Correct.
But, he's got the whole run now of Rookie Hall of Fame cards. I mean, you get to the 70s, 80s, he has them in higher grade. But before that, when they run in the tens of thousands, a 1 is what he wants, and he's happy with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, so getting a vintage Koufax for $50 to $75 in VG, or getting a vintage Mantle. There was a vintage Mantle that you sold in the auction that
we had a 58 Mantle
58
that again was well loved.
Yeah, but
if I would have counted the creases in it, I'd still be counting.
But it didn't look like, okay, crease aside, had nice color.
Yes, exactly.
And I think a couple $100, something like that.
I mean, looking at it straight on, you couldn't count all those wrinkles. So it had great eye appeal.
Yeah.
When I bent it and showed the surface, you could see creases all over it. But it was, bids were going crazy.
Yeah. couple $100, but it's very fair. It's very cool.
Yep.
Looks very nice. Authentic VG. So eBay Live.
Yep.
That's where
I even saw a comment scroll through. Everybody should own a mantle card.
That's it.
So
absolutely. So that's what you're going to find on eBay Live. Tell us how to find us on eBay Live.
One way to do it is if you go to eBay Live.
Yep.
You're on the home page. They have tabs across the top with a bunch of things. The first one now is eBay Live.
Okay.
You click on that, and then on the left-hand side, it'll have handbags, coins, comics, sports trading cards.
Okay.
And then you could see who's got shows coming, graphics with times.
Okay.
So you could see when our show is coming, the time it's coming, and we like to do themes. We've done Hall of Fame rookies one day. We've done 50s Hall of Famers one day. We did unopened packs one day. Tomorrow night, we're going to try something new. It's going to be 1956 Topps baseball only.
Yeah.
So we like to run theme nights.
Mm-hmm.
It may not attract the biggest audience, but it may draw in people who are 56 Topps set builders.
Right.
So
they could draw in new people.
Yes, exactly.
To the room.
Yep.
So yeah, that's awesome. So is there a specific way that they can search for our specific station? So like BBC Exchange is our eBay handle.
I believe, from BBC Exchange, you could find out our eBay Live.
Okay. And of course, all of this information will be here in the profile.
Yep. Again, my guys will be doing modern here eventually.
Yeah.
Slabbed cards eventually, encapsulated cards, but everything.
Everything.
Yep.
We'll give it all a shot. Sometimes, maybe it makes sense. Maybe it doesn't make sense for us to do it, but we're going to give it a shot and see where this goes.
Probably end up breaking on the eBay Live also.
Yeah. So vintage packs too?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
I think at this point I have to register to be able to break, but it's a simple process. So the packs that we have sold, we've sold by the pack with the intention of shipping the pack to the person.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. And what better place to buy vintage packs than from BBC Exchange?
And eBay.
Yeah, and eBay. So yeah, well, thanks again for tuning in. This was a very fun episode. We're pretty excited about these different avenues. Thanks, Steve, for coming along. And check us out. Check our profile out for all that information. And we'll see you next time on the BBCE podcast.